Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. Welcome to a StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm replay cast. We've got a Protoss versus Zerg today. It's taken from a little bit of a practice session between these two players. I thought I'd cast this one because it is on one of the new maps that's coming up for Season 2 of Ladder in not only in Ladder but also in WCS Season 2 as well, which will be starting up on the 14th of April. So not too long to go until that. It's around about what, 5-6 days out until that happens. So you better get ready for this particular map. It is called Overgrowth LE, and starting up at the top right hand side as our green Protoss player here, currently playing for Deadly Gaming, is none other than HuShang. And HuShang, of course, a Protoss player from Canada, the lovely snowy regions of Canada, except now I suppose, or hopefully, eventually, some of the snow will disappear a little bit. I know it's been super cold up there the past few months. Down here at the bottom left-hand side as our red Zerg player, I believe from Brazil, is Els Anna, aka Shakti, who used to be on the team Keyed. So we'll see what these two are going to get up to here. Both these guys, like High Masters, Grandmasters, pretty much kind of level. So we should be able to see some nice high quality action out of these two. HuShang, of course, we have seen a couple of replays from him before. One of them on Frost, where he did a really nice, it was like a 3-base push build, quick third base into nicely timed out tech, and then just slowly pushing across the map with some great force fields. So we'll see if he's going to do something similar here. Looks as if he is going to go for a Nexus first, and our Zerg player, Shakti, will be grabbing his spawning pool first and then heading down towards the natural, as you normally would. So, normal sorts of things going on at the moment. In fact, wow, Shakti actually grabs the hatchery. HuShang, a little bit unfortunate. His probe was just off at the wrong position there for a moment. But let's talk about this map, of course. Being a new map that we will have to get used to in the coming season. So it's a little bit weird in some respects. You see this here? This is actually, all of this stuff on this side here is actually unbuildable, and I'm pretty sure it's unpathable as well. It seems a little bit weird to me that you would have this texture, which is the same as this texture, and then like not have them pathable. Or maybe it's just this bit here that's not pathable. Either way, this bit is definitely not buildable, so I do know that. But yeah, like apart from that, everything is pretty standard. You got a nice Overlord cliff here to sit up on that the Overlord will probably jump down to in just a moment. We are still going for that that Nexus first into Forge and the gateway as well for HuShang. He's going to grab his double gas as well. Meanwhile, for his opponent, we can see that Shakti has moved across to the third base. Now, you can see there is a sort of quite a long path to get across here, so I'm thinking that Zerg players will really want to make sure they get their creep spread started very quickly on this. There's no destructible debris or anything in the way. It's just a little bit of distance. So I'm pretty sure that'd be how would you do that? That'd be probably 1 creep tumor, 2 creep tumors, and then you're pretty much there. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like you would want to start it reasonably early. But, so your third base is here. It's got a couple of attack paths that can come through up from the cliff or from the side as well. And then from this region here, this little bit in the middle is a little bit odd. It's got destructible debris that covers a very large ramp. There is a divot here that sort of a low point where you do lose sight on the top of the cliff on either side, but it does provide another attack path that you can utilize. You can open it up to perhaps make sure that force fields can't be utilized as well by the Protoss player. But then, of course, you do lead over to what would normally be a fourth base across to the left-hand side. You could look at taking one just across to the side as well, just one of these little pocket bases. Got a little nice amount of foliage around and some water just off to the side. But one interesting thing that we can see here is there's very little blink space. There's you can see here, you can't blink from this spot. You can blink from down here up into the main. So for the Terran players, you do have to be worried about that kind of stuff. And there is obviously a little bit of space here at the natural as well, but it's unlikely to see that kind of positioning for Blink. But HuShang going to grab 3 extra gates. It looks as if he is going to go for another expansion kind of play here with the +1 weapons on the way for his ground units, but no sign of a Stargate or a Robo or anything like that. We'll probably get a couple more sentries popping out from him, and then he'll be prepared to take his third base all nice and securely. As we can see, that Zealot just going to check over there and see what's happening. But so the 4th base, normally for a Zerg, I predict that we're going to see Shakti take this one. His 5th base could, I would assume that also be this one just across to the left-hand side. It's a little bit further away and the mineral line isn't exposed to anything here. There's obviously a little bit of dead airspace back here that could be taken advantage of by Phoenix or something like that. But it's not like this this gold base, which is off to the side here. The back end of the mineral line is very exposed to various low ground attacks. Think of it a little bit like Yonsu in that regard. And it does provide an element of risk when you are taking that base. So we can see that HuShang, sorry, I was going to get their names confused a little bit there. HuShang is going to be taking that 3rd base. A couple of sentries will come along and help defend this position. Is that going to, looks like we're going to get a wall off on the left-hand side. 1 cannon defending this base for the moment, along with those sentries as well. Shakti has been scouting through, has a really good eye on what's going on. You can see the Twilight Council that has been built down at the back of the main base. We do have +1 to weapons just finishing up now, and everything is, well, relatively passive, I guess you could say, as Shakti also takes his 4th base, recognizing that his opponent is going to go for a quick 3rd. He says, alright, got to keep my economy up at the same kind of position as yours. I'm going to take the 4th, and I mean, it'd be a really interesting decision. You'd probably see in this similar sort of game, like in a mirrored game to this, where the Protoss is taking a quick 3rd, you may see a Zerg take the gold instead and say, alright, well, if you're going to take a quick 3rd base and try and boost up your economy quickly, I'm going to grab a quick 4th, but we'll make it the gold to try and take advantage of the fact that that does give you that extra little bit of mineral income. So Shakti is just playing it out in a much more safer kind of style. Back at home for HuShang, we've got the Blink on the way, +2 to weapons, and of course the 3rd base is now getting saturated as well. Lots of workers out for both of these players, as there has been little to no harassment at all. Of course, for our Zerg player, he's up at that lovely 75 number, which you always want to be at. It allows you to get a little bit of gas coming in at the 4th base. You don't need to be mining the minerals there, but it does get that extra little bit of gas coming in, and then you'll be all good to go for the mid game, where the Zerg really starts to take advantage of their particular talents that they have, featuring, you know, Hydras and Roaches and very quick mobile units that are moving around the map. But HuShang looks like he wants to move out, has a quick poke through the middle, finds an Overlord. We'll be taking that one out. We've got to be careful about that one, guys. But there are a couple more scouting Overlords just to the side here. This guy is in a little bit of a an unfortunate spot. Also, I just wanted to mention, I completely forgot about it, there is a Xel'Naga tower across on this left-hand side here, and then there is also one in a similar position on the right. Now, there is a little bit of tall grass that covers this region here, but other than that, it's a pretty exposed position, but we'll hopefully see soon. I don't know if we can see it yet, but there is there's a very small area that like if you control both of the watchtowers, there is a tiny area that isn't exposed. But we can see Shakti now coming through, wonderful force fields to block out the Hydras to the back. The Lynx, however, did get inside and will be taking apart all of HuShang's units in the middle there. Most of them did retreat back to home, but for the most part, got a little bit of work done, and now some Zealots are going to slowly work their way into the natural base, somehow just sneaking all the way past all of those those Lings and the Hydras in the middle. Queen's going to be dancing around, trying to get away from the Zealots. The Lings will come in. They should be able to clean all of this up, especially with that Hydra backup that's now coming through. And +1 to carapace on those Lings and Hydras at the moment. +2 to weapons for the Hydras will be coming through very soon. And we will be seeing the Colossus deck started from HuShang. Given that he has scouted out, there is a lot of swarming light units from his opponents. So when you see this kind of play, you do need to get a Colossus out reasonably quickly. This kind of Hydra Ling style was generally utilized quite a lot on maps such as Derelict Watcher, where a Protoss would try and get their extra bases up. HuShang is a little bit out of position now. He's got most of his units back towards the right-hand side of the map. The Hydras are now going to come through. Lings are just ravaging those probes inside the mineral line there. However, there isn't really a huge amount of damage done. We see 8 workers have been killed off, but it's not the greatest amount. But there have been some zealots that have gotten inside the main base. A warp prism stuck its way down the left-hand side, and it did set up some zealots inside the main, getting a huge amount of damage done, taking out a few of the workers inside the main, but also just harassing them, keeping them off the mineral lines. Some more zealots also now just warping in as well, and HuShang's going to be in a pretty reasonable position when it comes to this point of the game. Shakti is now starting to bank up a ridiculous amount of minerals. I'm not actually sure what the plan is here. It looks like it will be an ultra cabin switch. His Hydras come through and do take care of the zealots, but I mean it's been a bit of a troublesome position here for him. Now as the drones look to retreat, in fact they're just going to retreat to the left hand side of the base. These overlords also in a little bit of a precarious position. The fourth base is going to go down, there's no doubt about that. The question is, will HuShang be able to get out of there? Mr. Colossus, what are you doing, sir? As he gets taken down by Lings. It's not often you get to see that kind of thing. But HuShang pulls out of there, gets out to the third base, and is going to be able to set up his fourth while he has destroyed the Zerg's fourth. So this puts him in an excellent position. As the Protoss play, always want to be, you know, picking up those extra bases, getting that extra gas coming in. Of course, a lot of the Protoss units cost a huge amount of gas, and it's always good to have that extra little amount coming in from a fourth base. So HuShang putting himself in a really good position right now. 3 Colossi are prepared. Stalkers are going to bleach forwards and try and take care of those Hydras. And things are starting to get a little bit worrisome for our Red Zerg here. Shakti, aka Elxana, has played a very passive game, responding to his opponent's early expansions, picking up his fourth base very quickly. However, did get taken apart by a warp prism inside the main, and his fourth base has been taken down as well, and the Colossi starting to march their way forwards. These drones, they're attempting to be mined from this fourth base, but I don't think that's going to happen, given that there are some big units that are up here getting ready to come in and lay the smack down. Looks like the Ultras have finally come out. We've got at least 5 on the field right now. They're going to march forwards. These Stalkers are not going to be having the greatest of time. You can micro blink Stalkers and try and keep them alive against Ultras, but the problem is when those Hydras are just following them up, it gets very hard to get out of there. One of the Colossus was abducted out and was taken down by the Hydras, and now as all of these Protoss units are on retreat and have to lay down the Photon Overcharge, the Ultras still just marching their way through, not actually caring what's going on. It's overextending a little bit. The attempted 5th base of Shakti is also under attack. These Ultras have got a lot of Stalkers in pursuit, trying to catch up to them, sniping them down. That's exactly what you want to do with those Stalkers. Just try and target down the Ultras, because they do the bonus damage to armored targets such as these, and when you've got like 15 Stalkers or whatever it is that are attacking Ultras one at a time, they do start to fall down very quickly. So Shakti again has lost his 5th base towards the left hand side of the map. His 4th across to the right has been re-established, and he does have 2 hatcheries here, which is kind of funny, I guess, but he's still in a little bit of a weird spot. His upgrades, they don't really match up with the tech path that he's going for, because we did switch over to Ultras. You know, you'd really want those melee upgrades to be at least level 1, going up to level 2 by now, but unfortunately, because we sort of went straight across to the missile tech, we've got the 2-2 on the needle spines of the Hydras here, but you're just going to be relying on these guys to be tanking damage. But the problem is, both these units they're kind of relatively slow, so this could make it a very tough position for Shakti to try and just sort of wrench his way back into this game, because HuShang has now been mining off of 3 bases, or pretty much 4 bases, quite effectively for a while now, and he's going to have just a great economy behind this to resupply as needed. 4 Colossi off to the side, Templar coming through, but they don't Storm because they don't have it. What happened to Storm there? HuShang's probably thinking, oh my god, I totally forgot about Storm. I would love to throw that down on top of this big group of Hydras, and perhaps for Shakti, he's going to recognize that there is a small opening here for him to perhaps take out the 4th base and bring himself back into a little bit more of a better position here. But he turns around to fight the big Protoss army, and unfortunately one of his Ultras just stuck to the side here. And then the Hydras coming through, they do a great DPS number, but unfortunately they just cannot compete with that many Colossi and the Stalkers on the ground, and that will be it. Despite unfortunately messing up and not grabbing a Storm there, HuShang does take out his opponent quite soundly. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was an interesting look at Overgrowth LE as the new season approaches. Hope you have a good day. Catch you all next time. Here. As you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more